As I mentioned before, our next speaker is Mirko Kleiner. He's an entrepreneur and creator of Lean and Agile Procurement. He's an Agile enterprise coach and certified Scrum at Scale trainer. Lean Agile Procurement opens completely new possibilities for procurement, sales, business agility overall, but he's an expert in his field, so I think he can better explain the topic than me. Please welcome him on the stage.
Thank you, Arno. Thank you, Belgrade, for having me. Do you still have some energy left for the last? Yeah, I see some of the... Now, half of you are asking yourself, but his first name is Mirko. Why he's talking in English? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm 200% Swiss. My parents just loved the first name. So please don't start talking Serbian with me, although I know some Serbian words like šiveli, slimovica. They all have something to do with drinking, having fun, so that's how I experienced your serves. Actually, I know more words, but those are the bad ones I know from playing handball. We had a Serbian-Croatian trainer back 20 years back, so I keep those for me. So my talk today is about, I would like to share with you a story about how you could increase time to market. You know, we know all these buzzwords. Yeah, twice the work in half the time, and we just get this, you know, this sales pitch, but nobody shows you the details, how they did it. Now I will. So hopefully you will get some bits and pieces, some inspiration out of it, so you could apply it already tomorrow. It's in an area you wouldn't expect, because the story, it's all about HP. Hans-Peter is a typical Swiss name, so I'll continue calling him HP. He is a Scrum Master. He's just, at this time, he was just 1 year before getting retired. And he was the most experienced Scrum Master at this company, and the company is CKW. CKW is an energy company, a lot of tradition. They do a lot of revenue with energy. They do have around 2,000 employees. But from the agile point of view, they were very traditional, classic thinking, their whole leadership, just everything waterfall, everything fine, 200 years we have done it this way, why we should change. Now HP, he was involved in first agile initiatives all around digitalization, and so they thought, might be a good challenge for him to source a new collaboration and communication platform. The board of managers, they already set a milestone and said, 1st of October, we want to have it live. So typical situation, top-down call, scope, no idea, but you have to deliver. And this was somewhere in March. So now for him, it was clear that he wanted to deliver that through Agile, through a Scrum team, and they already made some good experiences with it. The thing was, if you can do the math here, it is around, from March to 1st of October, it's around 6 months, okay? So the problem was all the way to getting started with this Agile team was not Agile at all. So in their environment, they currently need around 6 to 12 months just to find out what the business wants, source a new partner, a new tool, make the contracts right. So he said that's not an option. So what Sander said today, yeah, you need to take the existing process and improve and go from there. It was not an option here. We needed a revolution. So he was contacting us, and he said, what's the alternative? What does Agile serve? What are good practices you know? And we said, well, we have recently developed a new approach. And the main thing is we bring the people that will do the job to the very beginning. So those are developers. Those are procurement guys, legal guys, even business people. We put them all into a cross-functional team. That's nothing new for us. For them, it was a revolution. Why this agile thing is not just an IT thing, why we need to group, why we need to be part of that. I said, well, this is a condition, otherwise it's not feasible to do it. So do the math, 6 months, we need some time for delivery, so we get around 4 to 5 weeks to make this decision and close the deal with a partner we don't know yet. And he said, okay, interesting. Let's give it a try. And what are the other conditions beside the team? And I said, well, we need a radical mind shift. And you might know that business model canvas from the lean startup scene. I said, we need something similar. We need to get rid of these detailed specifications because those will change anyway. We will find out on our way how things will evolve, what are really the values, the business value the customer really needs. So we need to accept uncertainty. Now, this sounds trivial and easy for us as developers, as agile coaches, but think how the legal guy was looking at us. He was like, but I need deliverables, I need a price, I need this and that, and legal terms, how we deal with that. I said, hang on, we will find out. So, beside the business case, we have another tool to support the whole process. We call it the Lean Procurement Canvas. It has two parts. The blue one is the buyer side, or the one that looks for a service, a partner, a product, or a combination of it. And on the other hand, the green part is the supplier that has some capabilities, product, services that might support the customer needs. And in the middle, we have the focus, why are we doing the things? So just to wrap this up, in the middle is why we have this product, this collaboration platform, communication suite, whatever. What are the goals we are looking for with this whole initiative? Which business goal on a company level are we supporting with that? And you would laugh. I had workshops. The customer could not answer that. I said, okay, then we are done. If we don't support any business goal, we don't need that. Maybe not yet, maybe later. So on the right-hand side, we have the what. Who is our customer? What are their needs? On the right-hand side, the how, solutions, capabilities we are looking for, products, hybrid models, you name it. And the most important thing, it's the people. The people, we give the whole sourcing a new dimension. We have the hard facts, they are still valid. Costs, price, quality, the goals, we come to what kind of scope we will have, we will find out. But a whole new dimension, and this is all around the people, the human fit. Let's imagine you are the best expert on the planet, but we don't have this human fit. Our project will fail, right? So this is as important, considering the agile values, as the hard facts. And we're going to test on that. To give you some insight, so we have the true north, the why, we have there some business goals. They are reached when we formulate, for example, key results within a time box, and the time box is connected to some customer needs. You could use such patterns. There are plenty of patterns out there. We are not prescriptive. You have to use those. Find your own. It's just an example. And obviously, we have more time boxes. We have more customer needs. And the canvas is always, and it just can be, always just a summary. We have plenty of attachments, we will see that with the case. So before we deep dive into the case, just a short summary, what's the approach, how does it look like? And even before we go into the approach, if you have one takeaway, just a single one from my talk, please memorize this image. We bring the right people together, on the buyer side, but also on the supplier side. Let's see how that works. So we start with an initialization. We build up this part. It's not complete at the beginning, the part team of the cross-functional team. We empower it. We give it a direction with the why, with the goals and everything. We start gathering all the customer needs. We just prepare for everything that is important for the team, but also for the topic in our context. And then we invite the vendors, the potential partners. Who is deciding on which one to invite? It's a team. There's no other procurement professional or other guy involved. No, it's the team. If that's a critical thing, we might have the procurement guy in the team. By the way, it works the other way around. You could have the sales guy. Just think it from the other side. So what we do, we invite the vendors to, could be sequentially, but it turned out it's much more efficient to invite them at once in the same room for 1 to n days and co-create an agile contract. And often we're on proof of concept in parallel. We'll come to that in more detail. And then we simply decide. As easy as that. If we have decided, we just continue working. So this is the overall approach, right? Now this we can do within days instead of months. So who of you is involved in supporting the sales or procurement or other guys in creating proposals and stuff like that? Do we have some guys over here? All right. A lot of you, awesome. So how long does it take you usually to create a proposal? Is it 1 month? Is it more than a month? Days? Usually it could be. My origins, I used to be a developer and co-build up a software company, and we have done multi-million e-commerce projects. And we invested easily 2 to 3 months multiplied by 3 to 5 people. That's a hell of work. We will see how we can keep that much more efficient on both sides. So back to HP, how we started. So we had this kickoff on March 22nd last year. And yeah, we didn't know where we end, if this 4 to 5 weeks are realistic, but we thought, okay, when the team could start. By the way, we don't know who is in the team. So we invited the sponsor, it was a CFO, and we asked him, what is your vision with this whole thing? He said, he got mad and said, well, it's written in the business case, can't you read it? But I said, yeah, hang on, we want to hear your version. And he was going enthusiastic about it, and he was telling, I want to go in that direction. And the team was like, oh, that were good invested 10 minutes, because what we read in the business case, we thought we were heading in that direction. So we had him for that. We co-created the business goals. And by the way, hope you can, oh, no, it doesn't work. Just a second. Yeah, you don't see it that well. The blue sticky, that was the vision. Instead of investing hours or days in formulating a vision, they said, well, with our collaboration communication platform, it's basically, we want to have an improved top-down, bottom-up communication, but also functions, cross company communication. And it was just this image, and everybody understood it, so they kept it. We also had a session about empowerment. So the sponsor, who knows the delegation board of Management 3.0? Some of you. Go on management3.0.com. This is one of the most important tools. Every team should have that. It's kind of a poker, an internal negotiation on what are our competences. Who decides, who makes the final decision, for example? Who decides on the contract, on the budget and stuff like that? The team needs to know that. Otherwise, we run into the trap of the decision latency that Jeff mentioned this morning. We also asked the team which competences do we need in the team? Are those people available? Which other experts do we need part-time? And we named them, they got informed, and we told them the expectation is, if we call you, we want to have an answer immediately, not in 3 weeks. That will slow us down. So we set up an agile cross-functional team, which basically was not this traditional sourcing kind of team that just was doing the sourcing. It was already the product team, the product development team, but in this stage with a goal of finding the right product, the right partner. We set up a working agreement, so very trivial things like when do we start as a team? We work using Scrum, Kanban, where do we document? On what days do we collaborate? And it turned out, I'm very strict. I say, if you don't have 40% or 2 days a week on this topic as a starting point, it should be increasing over time. This project is not important. We don't start. And this usually leads then to portfolio discussion on the board level, and yeah. So second step in the approach is then, this was after 1 day, right? And you can see the teams agreed, the green bars, that were their days, 2 times a week, where they met. They had all the Scrum rituals. Because they did not work 100%, the rituals were very short to keep it efficient, and the rest of the days they just worked. So after that initialization, we did all the preparation we could do, and the next step was, how can we gather the customer needs as efficient as possible? And it turned out that we said, okay, we need to know the real persons behind it, instead of assuming what they might need, and we're going to invite them. So this is the second date on the 26th, and we did just the preparation as a team. What did we? We did the brainstorming, what are the personas, what are the customer segments we are touching, and it was like the apprenticeship. It was a team leader. It was people that in this energy company that are outside, they even don't have a PC, they just have their private phone. It turns out then we need a responsive solution for it, etc. We started to write our own personas, but instead of doing this 100 or thousands interviews, we just did 15 minutes on that per persona max, and said, it's good enough. It's good enough for now. We're going to iterate on that later. We updated the canvas with some more stuff, the most important, with the timing, with our basic conditions, and then we also created the first version of user story map. Who's familiar with user story map? Just another way of visualization the customer needs along the user journey. And with all this information, we went in this user workshop where we invited from these 9 personas several representatives per persona. we ended up with, I don't know, 50 personas, something like that. And we showed them the personas we just scribbled within 50 minutes and said, is that you? Please improve it. Now, you have 10 minutes as a group. We gave them the backbone, just the top topics of the customer journey. And we said, okay, according to those main themes, what are your customer needs? Brainstorm. Now, do it. Then we let them prioritize, and we even asked them, what are you expecting till 1st of October? What is the minimum set of needs you would need to survive, let's say, in your day job? And what are, if you run out of budget, what are things you could live without? So those are the nice to haves. Now, we ended up with 9 user stories, and we could immediately show, this is Yvonne, the girl, blonde girl. She is the head of internal communication, and she knew exactly where she wanted heading with this whole platform. So she became product owner, and we announced her and told the audience, listen, it's now Yvonne's and the team's job to figure out, to balance all your priorities. And everybody understood from day one. So this, by the way, this was 4 hours workshop. So then, we had a lot to do in the meanwhile. We had to organize, we had to write down the user stories. We had to create an overview about the technical interfaces, the technical environment, and just everything we needed to have full transparency with our potential partners. Furthermore, we created a short list of the ones that we're gonna invite. We ended up with 3. And we also had several sessions with the legal team to co-create a first draft of the Agile contract, because otherwise it wouldn't be efficient going into a 2-day workshop with the vendors and having nothing. So we sent the invitation, and the blue days, 25th and 22nd, we invited the 3 candidates, the 3 vendors, to a 2-day workshop. And we said, our decision takers will be there, our legal will be there, our procurement people will be there, the business will be there, and our core team will be there. Even we invite the real users every end of the day for a public demo. So please show up with your decision takers if you have or need your legal and the people we might collaborate, the developers, the consultants, whoever is needed from your point of view. And this was the start. This is Daniel, he is the CFO at CKW. He was repeating the vision of CKW, his vision for this initiative. He explained his goals, and the vendors, they had questions about it. So we got this immediate alignment, just having collaboration over contract negotiation, you remember. Every vendor got a whole set of boards where we shared all information we had. The only thing we didn't share was our expected price or our budget. So just a tiny detail, we, for example, let the developers present their company. You get a very honest introduction of the company, of their capabilities, if you ask the real people instead of the salesman who does just a show. We let them introduce who are you, what's your role, what do you think your role will be in the project. If you might become part of the core team, put your name on the canvas. If you're just a stakeholder or an expert that is here just today, put it below. Immediately we knew, we need to talk to these guys. So this is a wall where we had all the personas, but also the major user stories we used for a proof of concept. So in parallel to the co-creation of the Agile contract, we run a proof of concept. And this is just our proof of concept backlog. Here, Yvonne, the product owner, is explaining one by one, and the teams are pulling themselves. Oh, by end of day, we think we will deliver that, no more time, no. Okay, end of day, we're gonna see if they overcommit, how they deal with if they overcommitted, or any other behaviors around that. I forgot to mention, we didn't give them any scope description. I mean, they got the vision, they got the goals, but not the user stories, for example. So this was the moment we gave them 50 user stories at once and said, there is the board, please estimate within the next 30 minutes. And it was not that, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's not accurate. But we know that it's anyway not accurate. So we don't give a shit on if it's an L or XL. But the tendency is important. Is your solution everything configuration? Maybe majority is in the S. If you have to build everything your own, majority is in the XL. So we told to the vendors, this is not part of the contract. It's for you to get a feeling about the whole complexity. Furthermore, for us, it was interesting. There were some companies that said, we are agile since years, and then we saw how they behave during estimation. Some of them, there was this super senior, he did all the work himself. The other vendor, they were collaborating, they were estimating together, and third party, they were collaborating, and sometimes they were asking, how do you mean that? Which one you take? So behaviors. It was very important to us to see how they deal with that. We also made a user story map, so with releases, we let them plan and everything, and the result was, based on that work, we extracted an Agile roadmap, and this became part of the Agile contract. So the roadmap consists of business goals, key results, measurable key results. We iterated on that. The first one was terrible. They had no idea about writing goals or key results. And we also agreed on metrics. How are we going to measure that we are on track? So the main difference is we have the people there from both parties to co-create an Agile roadmap. With the goal, this becomes your joint roadmap. It's not a blaming, you didn't deliver. Hey, we are one team, so we need to commit to this one roadmap together. The product owner was there all the time, the other technical guys in the team were there, Scrum Master was there, all the business people were there. All the results have been presented during the whole day to everybody. So this is a short session where some of the vendor was presenting some of their achievements, even to the other vendors. This lead to more competition because they realized, oh, they are very good in presenting. That was a very smart move in terms of the solution. So this leads to competition and new ideas as well between the vendors. Though we had some private sessions because, for example, the whole pricing, the contractual details, or you could imagine intellectual property, if you have your own solution, you don't want to share with your competitors. So we had a private session on the solution, lasted 20 minutes. We brought the technical people from both sides together and they just figured out all the questions they have in detail. We brought the legal guys, the decision takers together, and we it was more kind of a conversation where topics like warranty, intellectual property, risk share, how we deal with risk. What is a substantial baseline for your day rate if you share the risk? I don't want to kill you on the rate side because I'm interested in a true partnership. So the whole legal part was 20 minutes each too, and the whole pricing, I will come to that. So what Air France, one of our other cases recently said, instead of eliminating the less promising offers one by one, we ended up in improving each proposals and choosing the best one. So it's a tremendous mind shift. I don't know, we have around 100 mind shifts in that approach. So from a pricing point of view, the cost structure was predefined. We were just explaining them what was meant. We expected the cost roof, the time boxes they gave, the rates they estimated. We agreed on the agile roadmaps of the goals, so it kind of fixed the scope on a high level. And then they just inserted the numbers, signed the flip chart, appendix to the contract. This is it, 20 minutes negotiation. I don't know about Serbia, but in Switzerland we found the holy grail. The canvas is the most lean, agile contract beside a verbal contract. Now, in big corporates, the canvas will not be accepted as a contract, I assume, but it's a beautiful summary on one page, or if you print it out as a poster, you have all on one side. So, at the end of every day, we demoed the results. So we brought the canvases and the proof of concept, which was developed in parallel in the room, and everybody showed up that had an interest on that. We had 200 users in average. They had questions, and we asked them for feedback. Which one you like the most? And at the end of the second day, we simply decided, signed the contract, and on the third day, they continued working. So it's a win-win for both parties, for the vendor that gets sourced, but also the buyer side that is looking for a partner, because we are speeding up. So I would like to share you some data. The lead time was 5 weeks, and if you see the green bars, there is plenty of room for improvement. So with what was also covered within this 5 weeks was, beside HB, nobody knew Scrum, so we educated them as we go. They had no idea about this approach. We educated them. Now they are much faster. We have run another case in 2 weeks instead of 4 or 5. So if they could work 100% on it, they might be done within 1 week. We have other cases where we have done it in hours instead. So, short overview. So, yeah, twice the work in half the time. What was surprising, though, that having this step-by-step handing over to the other silo was more expensive, more effort than having this one team focusing for a very short time. It was half the effort. This is for the procurement guys, because we are focusing on the most important things only. There is a lot of more room for improvement and room for savings, looking at the right things on effectiveness instead of just efficiency on the costs. We always do some research on how was the approach, and we ask always all the stakeholders, even the customers, the core teams, decision takers, from all the parties, even the vendors, and everybody we ask says, could we please just do it this way next time? And as October went along last year, we know also the numbers from a business side. So the initial cost through was still too optimistic. They spent just 65% on this initial estimated budget, even though there was also summer holidays in between, and maybe they forgot that. And they overachieved the business objective, so they had room for delivering more. To achieve that, I would like to share one more thing. We introduced during the delivery a very rigid agile controlling and forecasting. Now you think, what the hell, agile controlling? Yes, it's a one-pager with the main KPIs for the sponsor and the team. So they knew on a weekly basis where they are. If they run out of time, out of budget, it was relative estimation. But I really recommend doing that together with having goals and all these other conditions. Otherwise, you're not doing agile, you're doing anarchy. You're just doing something. Now, this sounds fabulous, but we had some challenges. One was getting the people very fast with high availability into the team, even though we asked just for 2 days. That was a serious problem. And we were just really sticky on that, and we said, if we don't get them, we simply don't start. And I would really recommend you doing that similar. Handling the 3 vendors in parallel, that's not so easy. So having for 2 days almost 30, 40 people, you need some experienced guys. So you might include your HR guys, which are used to big room facilitation, or your agile coaches, or you look for an external support. Stay in the driver's seat. This is really key. We had the situation in this case that there was one of the big vendors. He said, I can't accept your general terms and condition. You have to take ours. And the core team already went like, oh, okay, they're big, we have no chance, we might accept. And I said, why? So we went into conversation and we told them, we are the customer. If you recognize that, we are paying you. So our rules. And if you don't accept our rules, you're out. They were like, oh, nobody has ever told us in this way. And they said, let's have a conversation about it. What should we add to our general terms and conditions so that you are compliant? And they went back home, had some very hard calls, I assume, and they came back next day and said, no, it's okay. It's okay. So stay in the driver's seat. And yes, the legal will ask you, what is an agile contract? Is there a template for no? There is none. So my advice on that is, with the canvas, you cover everything that is relevant for the legal. Include him as a team member from the start, so that he gets aligned to what is our vision, what are our goals, etc. And he will be very beneficial because he's carrying all about risk. So we did that, and we needed him maybe 1-2 days, and then he could skip the team again. And yes, except there are so many mind shifts. Some of us have no problems. They're just waiting for, this is how I wanted to work since 10 years. And others are like, ooh, shit, what is going on? So we have different tempo. People that will adopt, they will adopt. Some might take it, but people tend to adopt. And what it turned out is we had a very good success rate also because we invited the people. So here is the vision, here is who likes to join this team. So I'm a big fan of self-selection. So this is a sad story. I mean, this is a huge success for CKW and a huge success for the case, but it's a sad story because they didn't allow to join HB to get this award. It was in Prague. Said, nah, 2 people are enough. There is a regulation, there is a governance on that. Said, come on. But again, there we had another culture clash. So, some conclusions. If you're a Scrum Master, if you're an Agile coach, if you're even a product owner or whatever role you have, find some support, find some like-minded people, and try it out. It could be something like that. It could be just parts of it. For example, instead of having these projects that last for 6 months to gather the customer needs, just invite all the customers for a half a day or for a day or something. Just try it out. Give it a try to the Lean Procurement Canvas. We recently had an account manager of Huawei in the class, and she said, wow, that's an excellent tool. I will just give it a try. I will print it out, and with my next conversation with our partner, I will just do all my notes on the canvas, and I will see what value I will get from it or not. You could use it your own. You could even use it for assessing a partnership if you're on the other end. Create some positive impact. So my learning is, if you're on the vendor side, the other side, it's a lose-lose, the current situation. They are looking for other solutions too. So inspire them, say, hey, I was at this talk, I saw there are some materials, some other cases. Let's have a look together, and let's decide on what could be beneficial for us. I want to share some small little story, expect the unexpected. In another case where we sourced an ERP like SAP within 4 weeks, instead of, I don't know, those projects are going forever usually. We got this statement, and this was from the party of one of the CEOs of another company that lost. So Lean-Agile Procurement was extremely effective because we were able to develop, reconcile, and retain coordinated solutions in a short time with the customer. The results were achieved more valuable than a traditional offer. In this particular case, that was not the point yet, but that's already amazing. In this particular case, the customer decided for vendor A, you're the winner, but he asked vendor B, could we have you in the team as well? Because you have such a great expertise. And they were like, we lost, and now you're asking for, okay, let's have a conversation how we deal with the contracts, and after another 15 minutes, we had it. So this is us. We are in cooperation with a lot of other alliances. We got already trainers on 3 continents. The movement is crazy, the demand is exploding. And it should be just, for you, it should be just an example how Agile could work outside of IT, even though it was an IT case. We got a plugin of Scrum at Scale because I think even if we are done within a company, that the company is fully agile or true business agility doesn't stop at the company's front door. You need to include the partners, the suppliers, and even the whole supply chain to start to develop and manage, as we call, adaptive partner ecosystems. So we are looking for trainers. Just send me a text. And our next training is in Minsk, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
In time, on the second.
The time's up is on the tablet. Thank you for this talk, a lovely way to close up this speakers round. We will start in approximately 30 seconds, 1 minute, just because we have 3 stages, so everybody from other stage can come up here, and then we can start with the closing. So you can stay on your seat or maybe just go out, but be aware that in 1 minute we will start with the closing.